The gloves are off. The heels are on. It's Let Me Finish with Emmy Award-winning sports reporter Suzy Shuster and senior West Coast editor of Vanity Fair, Krista Smith. It's not easy to get a word in edgewise, but they'll try. And now, here's Krista and Suzy.
Hi, I'm Krista Smith, and this is Suzy Shuster, and welcome to Let Me Finish, the only sports show that breaks down sports the only way two women can, which means lots of opinion, lots of hair, a little bit of gossip. Suzy, what do we got on the show today?
It's kind of a dull week, let's just face it. It's July, there's a lot of baseball being played that nobody really cares about, so we're going to go thematic this week. We're going to talk about the de-education at USC. Are there Heismans going back from all of the allegations and penalties and all of the problems over at USC during the Pete Carroll, Mike Garrett years? We're going to talk about the changes there. We're all going to go from there to a really serious topic, which is, can you be relevant in sports if you're not a fame whore? And I think this has become incredibly relevant with the advent of so many reality shows for athletes. And really, who is important these days, and can you be important in sports if you're not all about number one? And by that I don't mean championships. That leads perfectly into LeBron. A lot of big timers coming out against Decision 2010. We're going to follow that, as well as a really disturbing trend, which is about pro football teams paying quarterbacks without even taking one snap on the field. Sam Bradford, a rumored plus $100 million with incentives. He's never taken a snap, Krista. Is it worth the money? And what does that say about pro football? We go, of course, from there to our favorite things, because every week we're going to tell you something that makes us happy. I think that's a great way to start, by saying something that makes Krista very happy. Gigantic Hollywood premiere this week in LA. Everyone's talking about it. Angelina Jolie, Salt, how was it?
Well, they say that nothing was happening in LA, but I'll tell you this was happening. Angelina Jolie, A+ across the board. You've got to love her. Normally when you go to a premiere in Hollywood, if it's called for 7:30, you're not even going to see, the theater's not even going to get dark for another hour. You're at best maybe starting at 8:30, 8:45. Angelina Jolie with her partner, what is boyfriend, what are we calling him, Brad Pitt, her better other half. They arrive at 6:45, screaming fans up and down Hollywood Boulevard. She systematically worked to that line. It's Suzy, I have to say, she is worth every penny.
They define professional,
$20 million that she got. He's gorgeous. He shaved this stupid goatee beard. He looked fantastic. They just walk. They create the fantasy. It's amazing.
No traveling circus. No 17 kids.
No 17 kids. No nannies. No bodyguard. I mean, obviously a bodyguard, but the bodyguard looks exactly like Brad, so you couldn't tell whether it was Brad or the bodyguard. They walk down the line. She's in a this black dress, all the hair, smiling, picture taking, doing the whole yards. Then whips around to go up into the red carpet, which it was black, Salt. Does the photo op with Brad. Then Brad suddenly walks in the theater. She does a handful of press, whizzes by all the major entertainment shows, which I was kind of shocked at.
Love.
She won't do it because she feels that they're too sensationalistic, so she'd rather do like NevadaNews.com, which you also have to love her for. I mean, she's unreal. Then
and Vanity Fair, thank goodness.
And Vanity Fair, exactly.
Right. Let's plug your
Go
magazine.
into the theater. It doesn't even end now. Okay, so now the show begins inside the theater. It was Shakespearean. John Voight is there, standing up, so everyone's in the theater watching this whole thing take place. She gives him a kiss, says hello, the brother, who actually is almost as beautiful as she is.
How was the movie?
Okay, who cares about the movie? Then the movie start, whatever, they stay for the whole time. There's not one other celebrity there or movie star there, because obviously Angelina's smart. She has to be the biggest star in the room. Smart move on her part, so no one's focusing on anything other than her. And the movie is fantastic. I gave it an A+. You can't understand half of it. It moves around. She's a little too skinny. Didn't matter. I loved all of it. I got a photo shoot moment in a fur hat. I got her scaling an elevator shaft like Spider-Man. Liev Schreiber was excellent as kind of her counterpart. It was great.
My God, this is like Siskel and Ebert. I mean, I feel like we're at the movies.
But Angelina Jolie, who would be Angelina Jolie in the sports world? Who would play her? Who's her equivalent?
Maybe, well, can you say Magic Johnson without the HIV virus?
I don't know. I almost think it's like she's got an Oscar, she's got 2 Golden Globes.
She's Michael Jordan. She's Michael Jordan without the gambling.
She's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, without the gambling.
I really think she's Michael Jordan. She's amazing. Go, Angie. We love you.
So, in other words, this is relevant for later on. Not a fame whore, but kind of systematically able to call the paparazzi. I don't know, it's a tough one.
I think there's a difference between fame whore and a great manipulator of the media.
Well, let's go to manipulators of the media, and that would right now be USC. I mean, it's been a crazy time over at USC. New president coming in has made some major changes over at USC. Mike Garrett, the longtime AD, out. Pat Hayden, the All-American quarterback, he is in. And this is all about the de-Reggification of USC. Heisman has asked for their trophies back. And actually, they haven't asked yet. I take it back. USC voluntarily sent theirs back. So Reggie Bush has not. And Krista, what's so interesting is, let me finish here. What's so interesting is Tim Tessalone, the SID, has spent months and weeks putting together the media guide for this year. Asterisks everywhere. Every record, every stat, every win, while Reggie Bush was in Trojan uniform, has an asterisk. 14 wins in the history of USC now have asterisks next to them. And it looks like a crazy book because it's all about removing Reggie Bush from there. So my question is, my God, what does this mean about college football? That so much has come down against USC, sending back trophies and records. And
I mean, let me ask you, if you were Reggie Bush, would you send that Heisman back?
Hell no.
Right. I mean, the bigger question is, I understand that they're getting disciplined. It's a ginormous slap on the wrist. Okay. But at a certain point, it's like giving the trophy back. I mean, is that for what? For his parents getting an apartment? To me, it's almost like apples and oranges. He's still an athlete. He still won that trophy. He still was he deserves to keep it.
You cannot take away what he did on the field.
Exactly.
And I was hosting the Trojan pregame show during this era. So I was over at USC every week, 3 times a week. I watched this kid play. He's magnificent. And he is. Now, was the fact that he was taking money, cars, apartments, seed money for a potential management company, you name it. They took a lot of stuff. Does it mean he wasn't a great player?
He still performed
He's still
on
a great
field.
player. Does it mean the records are gone? I guess absolutely, but this is a bigger question. What's wrong with college football?
Well, also, my bigger question is, who's to blame, the athlete or the agents?
Well, this is a great topic.
You're manipulating a quote-unquote minor, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid coming there throwing money at most of these families that haven't grown up with any, that don't have apartments or cars or 2 cars. I mean, at a certain point...
And you should see what it's like over there, especially at USC. And again, I travel the country doing college football for 3 years on ABC. Everywhere you go, you see agents everywhere. They hang around. They send young girls to work for them. They send guys to hang out, and they kiss ass of athletes 20, 30 years younger. Oh, let's play golf. Let me help you out with this. Don't worry, it's not a violation. Everything is a violation in the NCAA. I gave a UCLA football player a ride home once from the Rose Bowl. Found out the kid could have gotten suspended. I didn't even know when I was covering college football. I didn't know I couldn't give him a ride home. It gets crazy.
Well, my biggest complaint about all this stuff that's happening in college football is it reminds me of the drugs in sports and professional athletes. It's like everybody knows it's going on, but only some people get caught, and so those people that caught get punished, but yet everyone knows, but no one talks about it. It's like an open secret.
I get what you're saying.
But the other colleges, obviously, so now SC has been made an example of very strong punishment. So now they're going to investigate other colleges, right? And obviously the same things will be found at the other colleges, right?
Well, you'd think so. 4-year probation, 2-year postseason ban, records gone, wins gone. So there's a lot coming down, and it's kind of, to me, unfair for Lane Kiffin and all those incoming kids that are coming. A lot of scholarships gone. I just think the NCAA is so flawed, it makes me insane.
So flawed.
Now, you can say all you want that some of these kids are easily manipulated, but I'll give you an example of a kid who came in with his hand open. O.J. Mayo, the kid from the USC's basketball program. He played 1 year. He came in there saying, me, me, me. I'll never forget seeing him at the Coliseum, the first game he ever showed up to a football game, with glasses on at night, with an entourage. You're 17 years old. Shut up, go home, play ball, like this attitude. So a lot of the kids, yes, come from poverty and they don't have anything. But let's face it, these kids are getting smarter and smarter. It actually plays into our next conversation coming up about fame whores and then LeBron to follow. A lot of these kids are starting to really see ahead of time what they can get, and they are manipulating the system to get it.
Well, and you can't necessarily blame them for that if everybody else is doing it. Then it's like, well, why haven't you had that? Well, I got that, you didn't get that. I mean, you know what happens in everyday life. Keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah. You're a player, you're going in there, well, why didn't I get what Reggie Bush got? I want the car, I want this, I want that. I just think the whole system has to be, obviously it's corrupt, and can you actually put in place a system that isn't?
No, you're absolutely right. Nick Saban, of course, the coach at Alabama, coming out very strongly this week against agents, the prerogative pariahs that are on campus. And there's a big problem right now in the SEC. A lot of kids had gone down to Frank Gore's party. Frank Gore, of course, the former Florida running back who, Florida State, who, Miami, my bad, Miami. I'm going through my South Florida schools.
I'm like, Denver?
It's been a couple years.
Okay.
I just remember seeing the zigzags down his knees when I was covering him. But he had a party down in Miami. A lot of kids went down to South Beach. A lot of the SCs right now being investigated because these kids want to be in the limelight. They're all turning into fame whores. And Krista, and can you be relevant? Can you be relevant in sports if you are not a fame whore?
I don't know. This has been one of my pet peeves all along, something I always wanted to talk about, because it seems like everyone wants their 15 minutes. Everyone wants 15 minutes of fame.
Reality shows.
Reality shows now.
T.O.'s naked on a field right now, getting ready for
in society. But I think one of the reasons why I love sports is sports mirror society. So we look at it now, and the shows on the air, The Bachelor, The Survivor, reality television is huge, and it's happening to sports. It's no different. These guys, to me, do we talk about them, and we're just as guilty in the media?
Well,
are we talking about any of them? Unless they're dating a Kardashian, you know, on Dancing with the Stars, doing a rap video, doing a clothing line, having
Ron
a perfume.
Artest taking the time in his post-game conference after winning the NBA Finals to talk about an upcoming video. There's your boy with his Wheaties box, Chad Ochocinco on Dancing with the Stars.
So what does that mean? Are you relevant? Do you matter? Can you just rack up the statistics and rack up the records and play and be excellent and excel at what you do? Will you get the airtime? No.
Interestingly enough,
you go on Dancing with the Stars, and it's a game changer.
Interestingly enough, I think Kobe Bryant used to be a bit of a fame whore. I think when he came into the league, when he played, used to be, and I'll tell you the difference. When he played with Shaquille O'Neal, he was so concerned about getting the FaceTime because he was up against somebody else who was one of the more relevant athletes in our time.
Keeping up with the Joneses,
he had a video with Tyra Banks called KOBEILOVE, which was god awful. It was just the worst. Kobe, you can't rap, baby. I love you, but you can't rap. He was everywhere. He was more of a fame whore. Now, do you outgrow it? Kobe's a lot less of a fame whore than he used to be, especially when you look at Kobe and how he conducts himself now versus maybe what's happening with LeBron with his Q rating on the toilet.
I don't really think you outgrow it. I think that Kobe had a life-changing incident that certainly changed the course of his life and his public persona, that he had to scale that back.
Let me tell you who's not a fame whore, okay? And maybe it's a comparison with the NBA and the NFL, but T.O. is our NFL guy. We're talking about a fame whore.
Where's my T.O. shot?
You want to see some more naked T.O.?
There we go again. Sorry. Can't get
Andre Johnson.
But guilty. Who can't get enough of that?
Andre Johnson, arguably the best wide receiver in football right now with the Texans.
Right.
Not a fame whore. You never hear a word from him. This guy is money on the field. He's a beautiful guy to watch. Larry Fitzgerald, another guy, another great guy with the Cardinals. You don't hear a lot about him negatively. You know why? He's not a fame whore. He wants to go out and play. Miles Austin, however, has maybe discovered from watching Tony Romo and Jessica Simpson.
He's learned a lesson because he's realized he's a guy that came out of nowhere. He wants some attention, and he's quite smart, actually.
Great year last year. We'll see if maybe the Kardashian
let's not bury the lead here.
But Kardashian magic, is it stronger than the SI cover curse? Let's face it. I mean, so...
Do you believe in the SI cover curse?
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. Well, let's see if he can beat that now that he's dating Kim Kardashian. I don't know. Listen, certainly we're talking about him because he's now with Kim for the moment. Who knows? That might change by come the fall. But there's also one other player that will lead us into our LeBron section, because what would it be if we're not talking about LeBron?
Right.
Is this guy Kevin Durant. And to me, 21 years old, it seems like he is never once, even remotely interested in the trappings of celebrity. He just wants to go out there and play ball. He's 21 years old. By all intents and purposes, he should. And his whole take on the LeBron thing was it made the most sense to me. I mean, I've heard all the older guys come in and be upset by it and what it means, X, Y, and Z. But this kid, to me, put it so succinctly. Who doesn't want to play with Chris Bosh and LeBron and Dwayne Wade? But more importantly, don't you want to play against them? Don't you want to have that level of competition and play against each other instead of playing with them? And I think that made the most sense to me, because as much as I'm not a hater on the LeBron, the decision in 2010, I kind of enjoyed the spectacle of it, and that became national television. But I do agree with him. I mean, I think he makes the biggest point. Of course, who wouldn't want to play with them? But isn't it more important to play against them and to beat them and to win? And that's what I love. That's what I love about sports, and that's why I love this kid. And
I know you think that Kevin Durant means a lot right now, and I get it, because I think you're happy that he wasn't born in, like, 2 centuries ago, like the guys I care about.
Yeah.
The guys I care about are Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan. And what I like is that Michael Jordan, we actually have a great picture of LeBron shaking his hand for the first time. Michael Jordan said, "Are you kidding me? It's anathema to me, the idea of wanting to play with them. All I wanted to do was beat them." And what I love about Magic Johnson is he said from the very second he was at Michigan State and Larry Bird was at Indiana, he said he spent his entire life wanting to beat Larry Bird. And I mean, I was a Celtics fan growing up, and I had a poster of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson back to back on the back of my door. And anybody who remembers the old Magic could say, "Well, now if Larry Bird was here." Like he just always, it was always, "If Larry Bird was here." And it was just so great because everything was fused with this desire to beat Larry Bird. And I think that's something that we don't see. We're seeing a change and a power shift here in the NBA. We're seeing athletes becoming GMs. They're taking that job away from the guys who are supposed to be in charge of assembling personnel. And these are guys deciding that they want to play together. It's really interesting seeing this shift of power here.
But at the same time, it's going to be huge for the NBA. I mean, who's not going to want to go see all those 3 guys play? Who's not going to want to go? Who's not going to want to hate them? I mean, the people that are going to love them or hate them too. It's not a traditional rivalry like we're used to, but maybe this is where it's heading. Maybe this is the new normal, as they say. I mean, I don't know. I want to watch them now because I'm going to watch those games because of those 3 guys. I want to see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to root for them every time, but I'm interested in it. So in that sense, it does bring up, that word money. Ticket sales, money, all that stuff that's what's the driving force. We live in a capitalist society. So
speaking of money, how about Sam Bradford? The kid has not taken 1 snap in the NFL.
This annoys me.
He is going to get $45 to $50 million of guaranteed money. Over $100 million with incentives laden in there too. Let's face it.
To play for the Rams. Suzy, the Rams haven't won a game.
What are they paying him for, Krista? Here's my question, and I get it. We've seen this escalating scale of quarterbacks getting exceedingly enormous amounts of money. What are we paying?
Jamarcus Russell.
Wait, let me finish. Yeah. What are we paying this kid for? What are we paying him for? His college career? I mean, let's face it. I mean, is that what we're paying him for? We saw him in the combine. We saw his surgically repaired shoulder. We saw that this kid can come up. But let's face it. You're getting all this money. You've got no O-line.
Well, what does it matter?
That's what I'm saying. Throw the ball in the dirt?
So are you doing to sell jerseys? Or are you doing to get people in the seats? I mean, that's when it just becomes about commerce and money and capitalism. Because really, you're exactly right. He looked great in the combine. Yeah, everyone was worried about the shoulder. Didn't look like it was a problem to me. But honestly, the Rams, I think they won 1 game last season. I mean, he is walking into the Titanic. It's like, what can he do in his lifetime? Yeah, maybe he can turn it around and maybe they can win 6 games this year. But you're exactly right. Without an offensive line, without the right people to throw to, without the kind of building that in an organization, what is he going to do with 1 person? And we saw it with Jamarcus Russell. Yeah. Hopefully he's got a better character than Jamarcus and will actually go in there and show up and work out. But
he actually had that great pro day. It wasn't combine, it was the pro day. If you recall, he had that great pro day when he went out and just spread the ball around to all of his receivers there.
That's impressive.
It's going to be interesting because it's going to be up to Jason Smith and Roger Saffold. We're talking left tackle, right tackle. We're talking about the guys. It was interesting that the Rams actually brought in their second pick, they brought in a tackle because it's all about protecting these guys. Alex Barron, the great tackle, the weak side tackle, he's gone. So we've got a bunch of guys coming in, rookies coming in to protect a $60, $50 million investment.
All I know
is
it's crazy. When Drew Brees gets up there and gets his SB, the first people he thanks is his O-line.
Of course.
That's it. So I mean, $45 million, whatever it is, $50 million, $70 million, it's monopoly money at a certain point.
I mean, we saw what happened with Jamarcus Russell. 17 starts in college. They pay him an extraordinary amount of money.
Number 1 draft pick, huge, the hope, Oakland Raiders are coming back.
Yeah. No determination, no drive, no love of football. In fact, Mike Mayock, the NFL expert on NFL Network, said this ahead of time. He was really concerned about his dedication to football. He said, I don't think he really loves football. Unfortunately, now we know that he loves the codeine syrup. So we're wondering if there was a little overlap there.
What does he walk away with? $30 million? $30 million and an arrest for no prescription to codeine cough medicine.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
Just tragic.
I just have a real problem with this scale, and I know we're going into an interesting time with the NFL, with the CBA being up for grabs, and we'll see what happens. But if I like the idea of a salary cap. I like the idea of a rookie salary cap. I don't know how much backwards we can go or how far backwards we can go, but this just is not working for me.
Okay, so how do you go from $45 million to $2 million and still be in the same genre of sports? It's not curling, it's not bowling, it's soccer. Landon Donovan, this is a particularly interesting story to me. Landon Donovan, who is having his 15 minutes of fame, obviously, from the USA team in the World Cup, the goal in the last minute, blah, 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 blah. So he has basically become the face of soccer. He's on David Letterman. He didn't father the child. Here we are, $2 million he gets paid by the MLS. He wants to go and get a voucher to play for Everton, the Premier League in England. MLS will not let him out because he's now become the face of soccer. So good news, bad news for Landon. And the sad thing is, for me, is exactly that. Landon Donovan, the hero of American soccer, the face of American soccer, the guy, the Tom Brady of sports in soccer, makes $2 million a year.
You know what also is the bad thing for you? No one cares.
No one cares.
Things we love. We've got 2
cares.
minutes left in this show. Things we love. I'm going to let you start because you're seriously passionate, not about deep dish pizza, but about all things Chicago.
Chicago. I'm just a little obsessed with Chicago lately. I don't know. What is it? The White Sox having a great run right now. Fingers crossed for them. I think about it. The Sears Tower. There we are. Sears Tower, deep dish pizza. Oprah's leaving. It's a big moment there. With the President of the United States is from Chicago. The Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup, the first time in decades. It couldn't be more exciting. So, what does this mean for Jay Cutler and the Chicago Bears? Jay,
I don't know, that's a tough one.
A lot of pressure on you. Let's see what happens. I'm watching you.
It might be pretty ugly for the Scrambler. What do I love? I love Sweet Lou Piniella. He finally announces he is retiring after what seems to be 75,000 years in baseball. I loved him as a Yankee. Don't forget, he was a rookie MVP coming in. He won 2 rings as a player with the Yankees. He also won a ring actually with the Nasty Boys and Rob Dibble back with the Reds. Here's a great guy. I mean, years with the Yankees, years as a manager, as a GM, years with Seattle where he actually was quoted for or famous for helping A-Rod become who he is now. Went back to Tampa, went to Chicago. We're saying goodbye to Sweet Lou. He's decided to spend more time with his family, but didn't you just love him kicking the dirt? I mean, nobody fought with an ump like Lou Piniella did, and I will really miss him for that. It's been a good show, actually, for a quiet week.
Not bad.
Next week, we'll talk about Tiger. Is he going broke? There's your tease. But thanks so much for joining us for Let Me Finish, and we'll see you next week and have a great weekend.